morning, Leroy. We're a few minutes late because your computer is undefeated. Never fails.
Internet 7, Leroy nothing. I grabbed my wife's computer like I have been, for almost 9 months now. I've been using her computer. And today was the day that I waited till the last minute to turn it on. And today was the day that it was like, today I'll do updates. Yay. Hi, Sarah.
Gotta love it, right?
I can't see.
Gotta love it. Yeah, Sarah, you haven't been on in a couple of weeks. Welcome back. Listen, she hasn't been here, in 3 or 4 weeks? I'm not entirely sure. She's trying to make a
You guys
Tumblr
get your
first
game in today, or was it canceled?
Reds? Yeah, no, they're losing right now. They are playing. I thought you were talking about high school or not, because we've had the worst luck with high school games.
I know there was rain. That's why I said it. I know there was rain.
Yeah, no, we've had the worst luck with high school games. Like, we had a game canceled yesterday. We're supposed to have games tomorrow and Friday. Those are probably going to be canceled as well. And now we're getting to the point in the season where, like, we're doing as much as we can, and they have screwed us this year. Screwed us in scheduling. Scheduling like games that we would do both, but scheduling them both the same time on campus at the same, and it's like we can. So I'm having to pick. And it's like one of the times I know I have to pick between Butler County baseball, which, big rivalry, or Edmonson County softball. I'm like, you're making me pick between Butler and Edmonson. It's all of it's the broadcaster problems. You know what I mean?
I do.
Broadcaster problems.
I do. My goodness. Called a game on Friday. The temperature was about 42 degrees. Of course, that was a doubleheader that went extra long. And I went down to the racetrack over the weekend, worked the opening weekend for the racetrack on Saturday and Sunday. And, of course, it was much warmer over the weekend when I was indoors than when I was outdoors dealing with the cold. So
Thursday, the softball team played locally. We didn't broadcast, but I just went to cover just because I hadn't been out and hadn't seen them play in a bit because they'd been on the road and so on. So I said, you know what, I'm going to go. It was, I think, like a wind chill of 38. And at the end of the game, so it was a doubleheader. First game, Grayson County wins 13-3, 5 innings. It was perfect. Great. We're done. This is phenomenal. Then we get into the second game, and Grayson County got up like 15-8. And it was 15-11. And it was 15-13. And then we head to the seventh. It's 15-15 heading to the bottom of the seventh inning, and it begins to sleet. And all of the parents, there were probably only like 14 people there, but we all looked at one another being like, can somebody just win? Like, can we just win?
That's how I felt for that 25-24 game.
Yeah.
I just wanted somebody. I didn't care at that point. And my call sounds so blasé because I'm just so over the 4.5 hour game. That I'm
in that softball game, Grayson County got the first 2 runners on. In the bottom of the seventh inning, it's 14-14, I think is what the score is. And we're like, good, great, we're going to score. And then it was like strikeout. And I'm thinking, no extra innings. And they had an 8th grader up, and she ended up having the big hit and winning the game. And it's funny because I don't know that they knew that they won because they were just like, oh, we won. Yay. It was just kind of funny.
The thing is, so the games were supposed to be, there's supposed to be a regular 9-inning game on Friday, 2 7-inning games on Saturday, and then 1 9-inning game on Sunday. But Sunday's game got canceled, so they made 2 doubleheaders on Friday, Saturday. So we didn't know how many innings each game was, and no one told us anything. So first game was 9 innings, second one was 7. Game 2, the first game was 7, the second game was 9. Both me and the other guy that broadcast absolutely jacked that all up because and his was way worse because he was all talking about how they were going to come back in the 8th inning and the game was over.
What are your logos out tonight?
Jack Daniels, Lynchburg lemonade.
Oh my! This is a Dr. Pepper just for tonight.
Our Casey's is getting better. They got rid of a lot of their old stock and moved in actual decent things to drink.
I can't I'd have to drive into town. Like I'd have to drive because in the town here there is a convenience store, like a 1 minute, not even 1 minute drive, but there is no alcohol in there because
Because you live in Kentucky.
What's our biggest export, Leroy?
Yes. So why do you guys have such a problem with selling alcohol? It's so bizarre.
It really is. It really is. Like it is the wildest thing that Kentucky. You think like it is. It's just. It is.
Biggest import. They're like, okay, we're not sure if we can sell it or not.
But yeah, I mean, see, that's the thing. Is it's like Kentucky. We're known for 3 things: horse racing, bourbon, and a topic we're going to talk about here in a moment of basketball. Because apparently something happened. And I guess that's perfect timing to jump
really
into one of the first topics. Yeah, it's almost like I planned it that way. It's like we're a professional podcast, right? Louisiana can't sell liquor within 500 feet of a church. I'm honestly surprised Kentucky doesn't have something like that. But in my town, so the county that I live in is moist. So there's dry counties, which means you can't buy alcohol at all. There's moist counties, which is a weird. And then there's wet, which is like any normal county in the United States. Yes. So we're moist, which means that the main city, you can buy alcohol, but all of the outside cities, you cannot, except for one. They voted to add it because that's where the state park is. But Litchfield is not even truly wet because they have this weird law and it's called like the 80-20 law, which means that they have to sell alcohol at a restaurant, 80% of your sales have to be food. Only 20% are allowed to be no, you didn't. No, you didn't. Don't lie. Somebody went to Grayson County High School.
Is it Grayson County, Canada?
Maybe. Are there counties in Canada? Do they have counties in Canada? I know they have provinces, but I don't know.
Louisiana has parishes. Alaska
parishes, yes, I know that, and it's weird on how. And then you've got town. No, sir, no counties. I was gonna say I didn't think of anything that it came to that, but still, on over the weekend, there's started to be a little.
You got some news. Tell me how you learned about this news that came down.
A little bit on Saturday. I know that there's the radio show here in Kentucky Sports Radio, and they like to describe when there's like and Leroy, you know this in the business and so on. When you hear something and you're like, ooh, that's kind of interesting, but you can't necessarily verify it.
Correct,
but it's interesting enough. Yeah, so they call it scuttlebutt. Say, oh, I'm hearing some scuttlebutt. Right. So Saturday night, some scuttlebutt came out that John Calipari was looking at Arkansas. And everyone was kind of like, okay, sure. Yeah, okay. And then Sunday, throughout the day, it started to come out more and more and more. And it was like, oh, is this is this legitimate? Like, are we actually going to have something to this? And then late Sunday night, it just starts like rolling out about, okay, John Calipari's headed to Arkansas, and everyone's like, what is happening right now? And then Monday comes along and it's just a cluster because immediately Kentucky fans are thinking, okay, who's going to be the next coach? And I'll get to that here in just a few moments because obviously they don't have one. But then it comes out that apparently Cal's started to have what's the word I'm looking for? Second thoughts.
Okay.
But then as they brought up, it's like, you're done. Like, you can't flirt with the other person. You can't cheat on us and then say that you want to come back after we were already kind of having marital issues. If you go and cheat, we're done. I did not say that no way Kentucky loses. Leroy, if you remember, did I not say that Kentucky, I was not confident in that game at all?
You said if they won the first game that they would go far You didn't know
Yes.
if they were going to win the first game or not.
And they did not. And Cal, I did not know what to expect when it comes to Cal. This came out of left field, but it's interesting that the one thing that I like about being, with the Kentucky fandom that I have in me is that I used to write for one of the largest independent college sports blog in the nation. So I have some I don't know, sources, I don't know, but I at least have some backside information that I don't get really to the Reds or other sports with that. So it's interesting that I started hearing some of the names that they were looking at for the coaches. So, the big one is Dan Hurley, and that's my pick. That coach at UConn, wins back-to-back championships. It would be a fantastic.
Who already said no, that he wasn't going to take it.
He didn't say no. He didn't. And it's interesting. If you go and you read all of his comments, he's always been very well, my wife probably doesn't want that. But he has not said
you are not getting Hurley over at UK, man.
I'm telling you, it's not crazy. It's not crazy from all of the stuff. The second name, Scott Drew from Baylor, and he apparently has been on flights and so on. I don't know if you heard the story about him today, that there was a rumor that came out because now, since there's coaching searches, and I always love this, you get into a flight tracker season.
Yeah.
Where you start tracking flights, and apparently there was a flight coming from Waco, Texas to Lexington.
You also had one from Chicago today, so enjoy having Brad Underwood as your new coach.
Oh, no, it's not. That's the wrong coach in Chicago that you're thinking of. And we'll get to him in just a moment. But so what happens is it's and this rumor starts coming. It's Scott Drew on this plane, and Scott Drew takes a picture with him, and he's eating lunch at this random Mexican restaurant in Waco, and he's just like, "It's me and my buddy. We're eating lunch." So we're not sure really how true this story is, but apparently a Kentucky fan called the Mexican restaurant and said, "Hey, is Scott Drew actually there?" And the person was like, "I don't know who that is." And they're like, "The coach at Baylor." And apparently there was one guy in the restaurant who had a Baylor shirt on. So the lady was just like, "Here you go," and handed it to Scott Drew. And the Kentucky fan apparently was like, "Are you Scott Drew?" And he's like, "Yes, who is this?" He's like, "I'm a Kentucky fan." He's like, "This is insane." The other name that has come up is, you mentioned Chicago. You're not mentioning the right coach in Chicago. Billy Donovan.
Yes.
Is a big name. Now, the biggest thing with him, and this being a Bulls fan, is that the playoffs, he is in the play-in, or what do they call it?
Play-in,
whatever
play-in
BS. Yeah.
Called.
That is supposed to play a week from today, meaning that if they win that game, and again, I'm not an NBA guy, so if they win that game, then they make the playoffs, which means that he'd have at least 4 more games, right?
Right.
Meaning that theoretically you probably wouldn't be able to get him until maybe May, is kind of the thought process. Or you could have him in a week.
Don't sit there and talk about the Cubs winning the World Series. You all had the best teams in the entire decade of the 90s. Y'all won 1. All right? Don't sit here and talk to me about winning a World Series there, buddy.
And then it's interesting. There's one more name that has come up over the past couple of days. And to me, it's one of the more interesting ones.
All right.
That has come up. Former coach of the Jazz.
Who's that?
But then what they did is they flipped on the tape and they realized that the former coach of the Jazz only led that team to score 2 points in a game one time, so immediately scrapped him from the record books. I don't know who that could be. It was just a name that I was starting to hear through the.
I thought the actual real Jazz, you jerk.
I mean, that guy only lost 77-2, I think, in a game. And they probably realized that Kentucky fans probably didn't want that guy as their coach. I mean,
listen. Even you could get UK to 6 or 7 wins. Okay.
Yeah.
But now I have to ask you. What are you hearing on the fallout on this? Are players going to be leaving? Are players?
Oh yeah. It'll be a brand new team next year. But that was what you expect. That's really if Collins left Northwestern tomorrow, Northwestern's probably going to need a brand new team next year then too. Because probably everybody's going to hit the portal or they're going to follow him to wherever he goes. Like if tomorrow they announce Chris Collins the new head coach at Kentucky. Obviously, that's not going to happen. But still, if they did that, I'm sure he'd bring 2 or 3 guys from that team with him.
Yeah.
And the rest of them would probably hit the portal unless they hire the perfect guy who could maybe keep 1 or 2 of them.
Yeah.
But I think that's just the day and age in college basketball.
Yeah. Again, I'm not a big fan of it all, but I understand it.
But it's just really interesting because, I mean, there's not been a coaching search for Kentucky in 15 years. 2009 was the last time that Kentucky was looking for a coach. And I mean, again, this is not to make you feel old, Leroy. I was 12.
What year?
2009. I was 12.
Yeah. I had already been in the Army for 2 years by that time.
But still, it was... So, but when you're 12, like, these things are happening, but you're not, like, entrenched in it.
Well,
you know what I mean?
And college basketball was very different back then than what it is now. Let's be real here for a second. I mean, these changes didn't happen all the time. I mean, yeah, there were some big moves, but nothing like what we're seeing on a magnitude now.
I just turned 27, Megan.
Again, I know we're not getting into this discussion, but I don't necessarily know if it's better now than what it was.
I don't know. I mean, I think here's the one thing that you can say is, I mean, the product is really good. I mean, the ratings have been blowing up. I mean, UConn was far and away the best team all year.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about ratings. Women's basketball.
And that was kind of where I wanted to head next.
Much higher ratings than the men's basketball championship. Now, we can talk about Caitlin Clark and the impact on that. But in reality, unless you were an absolute Iowa homer, the odds that Iowa beat South Carolina were slim. Everybody knew South Carolina was the better team and that South Carolina probably should have dominated that game. They did. They won easily. Whereas I think the split between Purdue and UConn was much more favorable as far as we all thought UConn was going to win, but I think we thought it was going to be way closer than what it really was. So my question is this the Caitlin Clark effect, or is this something where we're starting to see a change in the trend of people tired of seeing certain teams in the championship?
Caitlin Clark has a huge impact on that. There's no question. But I think the best part is there's some young stars behind her in women's college basketball. You got Juju Watkins, who plays for USC. She's kind of the next Caitlin Clark as far as having the personality and so on, and a score and a little bit.
And the thing is I talked to a few of the guys here about it, and the WNBA players are all giving Caitlin Clark an absolute hard time. Oh, you're not ready for us here in the WNBA. We've been playing women's basketball forever, blah, blah, blah. WNBA is a perfect opportunity right now to really ramp up and elevate their sport. And I'm just not a big fan of tearing down new players. You don't see a lot of people tearing down Caleb Williams unless they're Bears fans. You don't see a lot of people tearing down Connor Bedard unless they're absolutely anti-Chicago. It's weird to me to see all of these WNBA players tearing down Caitlin Clark when she is clearly going to, A, bring you more revenue.
Well, I think it was released today, that they play 30 games, and I think 26 or 27 of the Indiana Fever? Is that right? Fever?
Yes, Indiana Fever.
26 or 27 of them are going to be on national television.
Right. And they've already surpassed ticket sales by far. It really irritates me because y'all are supposed to be sticking together to make y'all have been complaining for 10 years how you don't get the same recognition the NBA does. Now you finally have an opportunity. You finally have an opportunity to maybe not get on the same playing level, but to at least gain some ground. And you're going to sit there and tear down the one person that's doing that for you? Piss off. Like, I don't understand tearing that down like that.
To me, and I made this point on social media as well, it is Caitlin Clark is the greatest women's basketball player of all time. And let me say this as to why. I think on the court, the results are there. But it's what she's done off the court of getting, the game of women's basketball and growing it that is what's going to make her even more impressive. You think back to about 10, 15 years ago, Steph Curry comes into the league, and immediately he brings that three-point style, and kids grew up, they wanted to be Steph Curry. And therefore, that new young age of men's basketball turned in, and you look at the game today, and it's a bunch of Steph Currys where you shoot the ball a lot, shoot threes, you get the analytics that says, you're wanting shots, layups, or threes. Now today, I'm fascinated that in 4 years, in 5 years, or so on, like we talked, I think, last week about, your daughter Alexis. She's what, 18, right? 23?
12 going on 30.
Yeah, so she's 12. When she's a senior in high school, I'm fascinated about what high school girls basketball is going to look like. Because what Caitlin Clark has done that has been the most impressive thing is she has gotten Alexis's age group more interested in the game of basketball. Because it's
she's got my wife injured. My wife's watched more about college basketball in the last year than she has her entire lifetime. She's watched more this year than her entire lifetime.
Yeah, and it's people, these girls are going to want to be Caitlin Clark. Just like 10 years ago, boys were wanting to be Steph Curry. And that is what really excites me is because, and you've seen this, you had a really good girls basketball team. People noticed.
Yep.
Really good girls basketball is extremely great. And even like Megan says, it's not just for the girls. I love watching Caitlin Clark play. She's fantastic. She's well-spoken. She seems like she's a genuine person. She's a good role model.
And that's my point. But when does the WNBA play? What channels does WNBA play on? Like, the WNBA needs to seriously take a look at this and be like, okay, how can we reach the most people at one time where we can get people excited about this, where we can get people excited about the draft, excited about Indiana Fever basketball, excited about the teams. The WNBA has a real chance to change the landscape for not just women's basketball, but women's sports as a whole. And I'm just worried that they're gonna jack this up.
I think back to a couple of years ago, and we've had this discussion about 10 years ago when FC Cincinnati came to Cincinnati. They became a thing 2015, 2016, somewhere in that realm. And when they came and broke onto the scene in Cincinnati, the Reds were awful and the Bengals were awful. They came at the perfect time and they were able to snag that fandom.
Correct.
I think if they would have come today, I don't know that it would have had the same impact. And I think this is kind of the point that you're trying to make, is that the WNBA has the opportunity that FC Cincinnati had. It's a different realm, but at the same time, it means the same thing. You need to snag it because, it's not just Caitlin Clark. Like Daniel says, Angel Reese, she's a great player. You've got
Curry. I know you made the Stephen Curry comparison, but a lot of people were saying Bird and Magic. And I know that's well before your time, but basketball really was kind of dead until Larry Bird and Magic Johnson came around and really started propelling that game to that next level to allow guys like Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant to be able to play the game the way that they wanted to.
Yeah, and I think, you've got Cameron Brink, who's the player at Stanford. She's really good. It's just like you're continuing to learn more and more about these players. And you watched March Madness this year, and part of this is obviously NIL now allowing that, but there were so many women's basketball players that were in these commercials. You saw Caitlin Clark in a few of them. You saw Cameron Brink, who's the player at Stanford. And that is really good for the game because people are seeing.
Will you watch a WNBA game this year?
I'll probably watch Caitlin Clark play. Yeah. Now, because I think, and the thing with Caitlin Clark too is and probably why Alexis is at least seeing some semblance of interest in her, is that she looks like her. Like Caitlin is not like she's not 6'8". She doesn't look like she's a phenomenal athlete or anything like that. She is a normal, and I think that means something as well.
TikTok. She is everywhere. She is everywhere on TikTok. And these kids are eating that up as far as just being able to to see her everywhere, and she oozes coolness. She oozes coolness, and a lot of these girls and boys, they want to.
No, she's
Oh, she's
like
only
6
like
feet
6
tall.
feet tall.
6 feet tall.
Yeah, she's
which is
6
funny.
feet tall.
Which is funny for you to say. Only 6 feet tall for you. Leroy, did you have a TikTok? Paul wants to follow you.
I do.
Oh my! You're gonna drop it?
Absolutely
not.
not.
Cubman87.
It's just a lot of music. It's just a lot of me playing music. That's all it is.
I downloaded TikTok one day. I had it one afternoon, and I wasted like 3 or 4 hours, and immediately was like, delete, done. It's like, I do not need this.
I hardly ever go on it. I have it so I can honestly, I have it so I can keep an eye on what my daughter is following.
Yeah, and I completely understand.
But yes, I do a lot of like music on there because they don't have a lot of copyright restrictions like YouTube and Facebook do.
The other big college news of the day is that Northwestern has a new football stadium. Look at it. It's where are the fans? Oh, what?
No. Don't you do that. They're going to bring in bleachers and have people sit on like a good old high school football game. Let's be real here.
Just because this is it,
man,
right?
I tell you what, it kills me because you know whose idea this was? You know whose idea was to do this whole lakefront thing?
Yours?
No, Fitzgerald.
So again, explain, because I'm sure that not everyone knows what's happening here. So they see the picture.
So Pat Fitzgerald was really, really big on building a new stadium for Northwestern. They've had the same stadium for ever, and it's a little big. I mean, it's not big. It's old. It's old. There are high school stadiums in Texas that make Northwestern's field look awful. It's probably the most rundown stadium in all of the Big Ten. So Pat Fitzgerald was a big advocate of them getting a new stadium, but the city of Evanston, where Northwestern is, fought it. Finally, long story short, Pat Fitzgerald gets fired, and finally, long after he gets fired, all of the stuff comes through for them to tear down the stadium. The problem? They tear down the stadium and had no place to play their games. It is April 10th. We got football in what?
5 months.
Yeah, 5 months. And today we just found out where they're playing football games. And listen, it's not like Northwestern is 1-10 out there. I mean, we made it to a bowl game this year. But it's one of those things where it's like, it's a great concept, but my goodness, it's going to be an absolute nightmare to get to these things. But they tore down the stadium. They have no place. They have no place to play their games.
Will you want to go to a game now at this stadium?
I wouldn't mind it right on the lake. That'd be all right. But
would you be more likely to go to a game in that realm in this temporary stadium than you would at regular field?
No.
Okay.
No. Now their new field that from what I've seen
you will go
from photos and videos, it looks pretty amazing. But they're gonna literally wheel in bleachers for these games, and it's like, if I want to watch Taylorville football, I'll just go watch Taylorville football. I don't need to go.
It's just
so they're gonna have one game. Their home game against Wisconsin is in Green Bay, or not in Green Bay. I gotta look, but it's like their home games are awful. Like because they got a game at Wrigley Field, and they have a game that's gonna be like, I really want to say like up in like Madison. Like it's supposedly a home game, but it's not. And it's just like, you guys are all absolutely killing yourself, man.
What kind of college tears down the football stadium without a new one built anyway? Asks Paul Reeves.
# fire Greg. Listen, our AD, our new AD, and our president is awful. No one likes them. They are horrible people.
Wow.
And listen, and I'll say it. There has been no evidence found against Pat Fitzgerald. Everything's come up as not guilty. Everything's come up as no evidence against this guy. There is nothing. The lawsuit against him already has been kind of thrown out, as far as like the university tried to get like for him to like give his paycheck back, and like Illinois was like, No, he did nothing wrong. So this whole thing has absolutely blown up in their faces, and I am here for it, because I thought the whole thing was a witch hunt, to be honest with you, in the first place.
The other big news of the week as well, and I wish we had like some sad news, because Paul, when I saw it come through, I immediately thought of you. Is this the right news to play, the sad music to play?
No.
Oh, I can't. No. Paul, are you okay?
You're supposed
Spencer
to play
Strider.
The Price is Right. You're supposed to play The Price is Right. Dun, 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 dun.
Yes, Paul. Spencer Strider's arms.
Arms. He says arms.
Both
Plural.
But I think in it's funny because we kind of both had this point of, are they being covered more, or is this a recurring thing that we need to be concerned about of arm injuries in the game?
Two things.
And let me guess one of the things that you're going to describe. It's a 2-word thing, and it ends with clock.
Yes.
And see, I think that is the biggest load of BS. I just don't know that has any impact on it at all.
Okay, all right. So pitchers are throwing harder than they've ever thrown before.
That's it. That's it right there.
Okay, but they're also throwing faster than they've ever thrown before. Why can't it be a combination of both?
Okay, I see what you're saying. Faster.
You are throwing harder, but you're throwing harder quicker. Okay, think about this. When we were a kid, okay, let me try this again. When you were a kid, how long did pitchers pitch still?
Are you saying, what do you mean?
Innings. How many innings did a pitcher generally, if a pitcher was throwing good, how many innings did a pitcher throw for?
6, 7.
7. Right? 6, maybe 7. Then you brought in your setup. Then you brought in your closer. If the pitcher sucked, you brought in a long reliever. And you generally had 2 long relievers on your team. Everybody else was kind of a 1-inning guy. Okay? Now you are lucky if you get your pitcher to pitch 5.
To me, I think what Paul says here is one of the biggest points. These guys are just, I mean, because you got to think that from February, what's pitchers and catchers? 20th?
Yeah, but give or take, like right? Added more games.
But I think when you combine that with this, I think that's what's causing so many of the issues. Because I think another thing is, it's like the Reds, heartbreaking thing. TJ Antone, who had just come back from either I think it was his second Tommy John surgery. He has just come back from it. Hurts himself again, and he has to have it again after like 3 or 4 appearances. And it is just one of those things that I think he was trying too hard to try and pitch differently, to not have it happen again. And in that, he caused the injury, because I think, like Paul mentioned here, is that these pitchers are trying to pitch differently because of losing sticky stuff as well. I don't think he's incorrect in bringing that up as a point.
So what do you think the solution is for this? Because this is trending in the absolute wrong direction. And if I'm Rob Manfred, I'm extremely concerned with the amount of injuries that have gone up.
And I think Chase makes up some good points here, is that, and I agree here with his last point too, on the analytics show that third time through lineup success rate goes down a lot. Teams didn't know that a year ago. You're getting more analytics that shows that pitchers shouldn't pitch as long, because these guys, I mean, hitters are incredible. They're incredible. Even the worst hitter in the major league is incredible. Like when you really sit and think about it,
Lansing Lugnuts beat Michigan State 18-0.
Yeah, I saw
Lansing. All right. But the thing is if the major league team played against if the Toronto Blue Jays played against the Lugnuts, the score would be just as bad.
Yeah.
The amount of difference between the talent levels is astronomical from the levels that show.
Yeah, it's just, there's so much into it, and I think that the overall thing is that there's so much focus on how fast you can throw the ball, and that's putting more emphasis on the elbow. And I think that's probably a lot of it, because you look at it, most of these guys that are getting this injury, you don't see Brent Suter for the Reds, who's throwing 85 out there, having Tommy John. It's always the Hunter Greens, the Spencer Striders, the, these guys that have it. It is just, I mean, it's awful to see. Like, when I saw that from Spencer Strider, I was heartbroken, because he's a great young pitcher.
Well, not a pitcher, but Yoan Moncada out for 6 months, as if the White Sox needed any more injuries.
Shohei, you think of him.
Yeah.
Same thing. Throws hard.
But again, I don't necessarily know if there's a right answer, but legit, this should be a huge concern. And I hope that MLBPA is like, that's their number one thing as far as addressing this, because this is a issue.
To me, happy birthday, John. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. I don't know if it's your birthday or not, but if not, happy birthday to the person whose birthday it is. To me, I think you're right. It is such a concern, and it's very similar to the concern that the NFL has put on head injuries.
Yeah.
Now, and meaning the head and the arm is very different, because for obvious reasons. I mean, the head is legitimately important. I mean, like, you got to have that. Happy early birthday then. But I think that, the NFL has put more focus on it. Have they been successful in reducing concussions? I think for the most part, as much as they probably are going to be. Like, it's inevitable. I mean, I don't know that there's
flag football soon.
I don't think that there's anything that Major League Baseball can do to completely eliminate.
Inning count? Can they set limits? Can you say, hey, if you were a starting pitcher, you get to pitch 4 innings or 80 pitches?
What I'm interested in is, do we see in 15 years there are no starting pitchers, it's just more of the openers? Where instead of 5 starters and 11 in the bullpen, or however many it is.
There was talk for a while about even sliding the mound farther back, but to like lessen the speed. So I don't know, like you're gonna make them throw farther.
And see, I don't know.
I don't necessarily know if it's a good fix.
This is where I wish that I was like, I'd love if we knew, like, a sports scientist, like somebody that studies this, because I'd love to talk to just somebody who, like, what's the guy's name that does all the Tommy John surgeries? What's his name? Out in LA.
Yeah.
Paul or Chase or Dan, you probably know who I'm talking about. One of those that if I saw Andrews, right? James Andrews?
Yep.
Andrews. And I would love to talk to him to pick his brain about how to fix this. Or can it be fixed?
I don't know. I don't know, but something needs to be done, and it needs to be one of the top issues over this offseason, I think, as far as these teams go. Because this is going to get worse before it gets better. And you can argue whether it's the pitch clock, whether it's pitchers throwing harder, whether it's loss of sticky stuff, whether it's a combination of all three. But I can't remember a year watching baseball in my 36, 37 years of really watching baseball where I've seen this many injuries at the start of a season before.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Yeah. And it's really sad to see. Do you have your tidbits here? We have actually gone quite a bit over our normal time here. Or do you want to do logos and then come to your tidbits, or how do you want to do this? Tidbits?
I mean, I only have a couple tidbits today. The first major of the season features a 2024 Masters field headlined by defending champion John Rahm, Scotty Scheffler, and Rory McIlroy. Scheffler, is the 13-4 favorite in the latest 2024 Masters odds, followed by McIlroy, Brooks Koepka, and Rahm 5 times Masters champion Tiger Woods comes in 100-1 after opening at 75-1 and moving as high as 160-1. He withdrew from last year's Masters after making the weekend and withdrew from the 2024 Genesis Invitational with the flu. Packers-Eagles are playing in Brazil. That will be the season opener. That game will be on Peacock. I hope both teams get food poisoning. I mean, what? We already talked about more people watch the women's championship than the men's championship. There we go.
Yeah. Are
you going to watch any of the Masters?
Oh, yeah. I'll watch Sunday probably. Because that's usually good TV and so on. And especially if Tiger's in the hunt, just because that's always...
Oh, yeah, and IndyCar had test runs today. Kyle Larson, NASCAR driver, finished with the top 2 speed out of all of the drivers today. Not too bad for a non-IndyCar driver.
Interesting. So I guess that means only one thing, right? It's time to cue the music for everyone's favorite segment, Leroy's Logos. Leroy.
Almost everybody's favorite segment.
98. So you're still below 400 right now. You've been hovering. You've been really consistent around this 395, 400 in this realm for the past couple of weeks. So what's that mean for this week's edition of Leroy's Logos? Episode 49 today. We're coming up on our 1 year.
I love it.
1, 2.
Also means we're coming up on it also means we're coming up on the NFL draft.
It does. 1, 2, or 3, Leroy. I can't tell whether I've gone easy on you this week or not.
Go with 1.
1. Door number 1. Leroy's got to tell me what college this is, and then as well, he's got to tell me the theme between these 3 logos because there is one. Do you know this one?
I do not.
I wasn't sure if you picked this one up or not. You got a guess? The Titans.
No, I do not.
No guess here.
No.
I'll give you Paul's comment. Maybe this will help you.
So we have a Glenwood Titans. That's the only thing going through my head right now. So
no, nothing. Okay. Well, so the not Tennessee Titans. Does that help you?
There you
this
go.
This is. Oh, I'm sorry, Leroy. I do have to hit you with one of these.
Thank you.
That is Detroit Mercy.
Oh.
You know who the former head coach at Detroit Mercy was? Oh, look at Chase pulling it out there. Dick Vitale.
Oh.
There you go. Right. 2 or 3?
3.
One of my favorite logos in all of sports.
Why does this Bulldog look like he's ready to attack and also ready to play?
I don't know. Maybe that's your hint. In fact, I can tell you this because it's not going to help you. What am I thinking? They're the Running Bulldogs. Is their nickname?
Is this Georgia's new logo?
Yeah, they're the Running Bulldogs.
Not Bulldogs.
Running Bulldogs. That was a big hint for you.
A big hint? Running?
Oh, I gave you their mascot. My goodness. So do you have a guess on this?
No.
This is Gardner Webb.
Oh my goodness.
And the final one for today.
Oh. Okay.
That's never a good sign, though, if we're being honest. That's never a good sign. That is never a good sign. In fact, I'd love to know what one of these days I'll go through and find out what your percentage is when you go, oh, Paul knew Gardner Webb. When you go, oh, I'd love to know what your percentage is.
Probably about the same. Probably like 40.
It probably is, honestly. Okay, Leroy, do you know what this is?
Marshall.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
There you go. See, I wasn't completely cruel today.
Giving you one the
thundering
turds.
The turds. The Thundering Turds for it.
Yeah.
Okay. What is the theme then, Leroy, for this week's episode? I've got Detroit Mercy, Marshall, and Gardner Webb. This theme is very similar to one I did back on episode number. Since I know you have them all memorized, this is going to be a good hint for you. I did this episode number. Well, now it's falling through. Where did you go? Episode 39. It's very similar to episode 39.
10 weeks ago. Let's see. March, February.
No, we've done that theme before.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've never picked Detroit Mercy. I promise you that much.
Gardner Webb running Bulldogs, the Herd, and the Titans of Detroit Mercy. Am I feeling nice today? I'll give you a hint, but I can only give you half a point if
okay. I'll take the hint.
If I take the hint.
I'll take the hint.
Oh wait, you can see that? I don't know. Can you see that logo up there?
The UK Wildcats?
Might be one that could be used for this theme too.
See, I got nothing. You're good.
Oh,
I got nothing.
That fits the theme. That fits the theme as well.
They all have the name on they all have their team nickname on their. Well, no, because the running Bulldogs don't.
Neither does UK. No, they've. Well, Gardner Webb did beat UK like 15 years ago in a game. Sorry.
What is it, old man?
They're all hiring they've all got new college basketball coaches.
Huh?
College basketball coaches. They're all having to switch college basketball coaches this offseason.
Okay.
Kentucky. And it's very similar to episode 39, which was all new football coaches. I don't know. Play clock. I didn't think that one was that mean of a new logo. I even dropped you in there, Marshall.
You're good.
To help you out.
1 out of 4.
Yo, wait, I got to get your updated total. 395. 395. Okay. Ask or answer, Leroy.
I will ask first because I answered first last time. All right. New Baltimore Oriole Jackson Holiday is wearing number 7, which was unofficially retired as Cal Ripken Sr.'s number. Cal Ripken Jr., along with his family, have come out in support of it, but I still feel dirty watching him wear that number 7. So I ask you, how would you feel about a new player wearing Joey Votto's number or wearing? Are you all right with this move? Let's just put it that way. Are you all right with this move? Because I don't like it.
Sorry, there's some stuff happening here that I'm kind of intrigued whether we might have some movement on Kentucky basketball. So I'm just quite bit, and now my computer's frozen. What a time for that to freeze over here as I'm trying to look and see what had happened. As long as, Cal Ripken, he says it's okay, then what the heck does it matter to me? I mean, the Reds are, now my computer just completely shut off. Well, that's not good. Did he? Why is it making that sound? I don't know if that sound picked up, but I don't know that it's supposed to make that sound. Okay. Everything's crashing. Everything's good. If it's okay with the person whose number it is, then why the hell does it matter? That's kind of my philosophy when it comes to it. I mean, Cal Ripken says it's okay. Doesn't bother me at all. I don't care. I don't care at all. Now, Joey Votto's number will be retired at some point, but yeah, I think it should be up to the person. At least that's my opinion on it. Leroy, you mentioned that the NFL draft is 2 weeks away.
Ugh, I did.
Yeah, Chase, I did see the message that Matt Jones is having a Twitter space in 10 minutes, which might say that apparently his family was in Lexington today. Oh my. So it sounds like Scott Drew might be the new head coach of Kentucky. Caleb Williams is almost guaranteed. Have you warmed up to that idea?
Yes. Yeah, so last week I watched a bunch of highlights from Caleb, just trying to get myself into kind of a little bit of embracing the inevitable. They've already given the number one away to a new person, so they've already moved on. I'm very anti-normal as far as Chicago Bears. Like, half the Bears fans almost want Caleb to fail because they want to like prove the Bears wrong. I'm just saying, like, stop it. Y'all should be actively wanting the Bears to succeed with whoever is at quarterback. If that means Caleb Williams is at the helm, then guess what? I am full support of Caleb Williams. I think this whole pick one and hate the other is absolutely stupid. And quite frankly, I'm over it. Go Caleb, and I hope he throws 4,000 yards. You should want your players to do well.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not. Sorry, I'm distracted over here. No, I'm not going to
reschedule the podcast so you can
No, we're good.
News that will be available tomorrow as well.
No, it won't be. I mean, listen, this is breaking news. Scott Drew's family is on a private plane that just landed in Texas a few minutes ago. Oh my goodness, you never know what it could mean. I'm ready for your question here.
The Arizona Coyotes just announced that they are most likely finalizing a move to Utah to be, I don't know, the Utah Coyotes, the Utah Mormons. I don't know what they'll call their hockey team. So I'm asking you, as a non-hockey fan, are there too many hockey teams? And would you watch if there was a team, like if there was expansion?
I'm not.
You didn't hear a word.
No, I did. It was no kidding. No. Are there too many hockey teams? Yes. No. Are there too many hockey teams?
I'm asking you as a non-hockey fan.
Well, you're taking up my time here. Would I watch? Probably not. Like, if one opened up in Louisville tomorrow, like, would I become a fan? I'd probably try to, because that's the biggest thing for hockey. Why I don't is because, Columbus is close enough to Cincinnati to me at least somewhat care, but they've never been good. So because of that, I've never really had an interest in watching it. But are there too many? It's hard for me to answer that because I'm not entrenched in the game of hockey to even know. Like, are there 30?
32, I think.
Okay. See, I have no idea.
I'd have to count them. I don't remember.
Okay,
I get
count them right now.
Count them right now?
Yeah.
Count them right now? Let's see.
Oh. While I'm
while
reading.
you're trying to figure out. Mm-hmm. While you're watching Kentucky news, I'm like, Carolina, Nashville, Edmonton, New York.
John says 32. I'm assuming that John will
John knows.
Know the answer. Chase even says there's 32 on. Leroy, I've got a question for you that's probably going to be the hardest question that I've ever asked you in the history of this podcast. For you, I already know this.
Okay.
And it's a Mount Rushmore question for you.
Oh, crap. All right.
Mount Rushmore of bands.
Oh, no.
4 of them. That's all you get.
Does it have to be a band or a solo? It doesn't matter.
I'm leaving it open to you.
All right. So the Beatles, Elvis Presley, Taylor Swift, and
I'm saying this is your enjoyment.
My enjoyment?
Yeah.
Oh, Beatles.
This is your Mount Rushmore.
Beatles, Tool, Nirvana, Elvis Presley.
I was expecting you to throw I was expecting you to throw Alice in Chains on there.
I tell you what, Nirvana and Alice in Chains are like right next to each other. It's really hard for me to pick.
Because I was very confident that you were going to drop in and say Tool and the Beatles. Those were my given. I felt very confident in you saying that.
Yep.
But okay, interesting. Are you ready for your drivers here?
Yes. Who do you want? 1, 2, or 3?
Yeah, just go in order.
All right. For those who don't know, I'm going to give Sam a picture. He's going to tell me whether they are a NASCAR most well known as a NASCAR driver, F1 driver, or IndyCar driver. I have to say most well known because sometimes in this industry, these guys like to move around and go do all kinds of other stuff. So this is what they're most well known for, unless I specify otherwise. All right, here's driver 1.
Is he even old enough to drive a car? Seriously, how old is he?
He's pretty young.
Chase is calling Bull Schnoggy on your most well known too.
Oh, good thing Chase isn't playing the game. This kid's 18.
F1.
Final answer?
Yeah.
You cheated. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, that's absolutely F1 driver. That's Oliver Behrman. He's brand new. He drives for Haas.
I was gonna say he I don't even think he's 18. I don't even think he's 18 when it comes to that.
He was May 8th, 2005. So what does that put? Yeah, he'll be 19 next month.
How does that make you feel that somebody's 19 born in 2005?
Shut up.
Apparently he made one start.
You know, Chase, you've been a real pain in my ass on these drivers.
Language.
You're taking the fun out of it, bro.
Oh, he's an IndyCar driver.
I don't know. Maybe he's not. Clearly, Chase knows this game way more than I do. So, he did get looked at from F1 one time. Yes, IndyCar driver is absolutely correct.
Oh. Who? Okay, that guy looks familiar. So I'm going to say he's a NASCAR driver. But if he's a NASCAR driver, I want to drop a name.
All right, drop your name.
Is that Gibbs?
No.
Okay. Is he a NASCAR driver?
He is a NASCAR driver, correct.
Who is that?
That's John Hunter Nemechek.
Oh, yeah. That is Joe's son, right?
Yeah, yes, I believe so, yeah.
Old Joe Nemechek.
That whole Nemechek family is fantastic, though.
I love Joe Nemechek. Was your guaranteed every single race last place. Like he was there he was always there, but he was never going to finish more than last place. Like it was just always a given. Speaking of that, how about an update?
What's great is Chase said that he made one start. He's currently in 7th place in the F1 standings.
Oh,
sorry, they're all not Max Verstappen, but I can only do so much with the amount of drivers.
NASCAR pick contest standings. Last week, Leroy, you won again. 53 points from Kyle Larson. I finished in second, getting 40 from Denny Hamlin. 32 is how many Chase got from Blaney. Tyler, you got 18 from Ty Gibbs. Paul, you got 13 from Brad Keselowski. Luke, you got 3 from Austin Dillon. Sorry. Yeah, Leroy's triggered.
Yep, I am. You're taking the fun
They
out of
are heading to Texas. Oh, the overall standings, you probably want that. Leroy, you are in first place. And apparently it's not going to let me do it. Leroy, you're in first place with 221 points. Tyler is in second with 186. Paul 171. I've got 159. Chase 157. John 139. Bert with 17. Luke with 3. They're headed to Texas this week. Let's make our picks for this week's NASCAR.
Dabbed at the same time, man.
What's that?
I like how you sneezed and dabbed at the same time. You're like,
well, that's what you're supposed to do. Who's your pick this week?
I am picking Martin Truex Jr.
Martin Truex Jr. I'm going to go with Kyle Larson.
Ooh.
Everybody is eligible to pick anybody they want as well for this week's episode. John is going with Logano. That's the only guy you pick.
It's the only guy he knows.
Yes. Blaney is the only other driver that he's picked, so he's going with Logano. So you are not eligible to pick Logano next week.
Yeah.
John. So Paul, Tyler, Chase, Bert, Luke, if you want to. Chase is going with Christopher Bell. And I mean, you can pick Kyle Larson. It's not it's not like only one person's allowed to pick the driver. So if you want to pick Kyle Larson, you're allowed to pick Kyle Larson. This isn't a draft by any means. Paul's going to go with Denny Hamlin.
Who are the Bengals drafting with your first pick?
Ask me in 2 weeks.
No, I'm asking you now. How do you like it? Ask me about Justin Fields every week.
But it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to predict who's picking number 1 than 18th. To me, it is. There's so many different ways it can go.
What position you need the most?
You want Kyle Petty. Yeah, no, he's not racing anymore. Right tackle, interior defensive line, cornerback. It'll be one of those 3 positions. I feel fairly confident, unless Brock Bowers is there, and then in that case, things get a little bit interesting. Okay, Chase, thanks. That's what I thought he was going to say, and that's what it's been talked about most of the day.
Are you guys going to have a quarterback next year?
Kentucky? Yeah, Brock Vandegrift. Because we're talking about college right now. Do you have a football stadium? Do we need to pull up the Northwestern football stadium again? I'm pretty sure old Cougar Stadium has more seats at it right now than this does.
That's literally their practice facility. You know that, right? Like is
that what looks like a mall?
Yeah. So like
facility on the left?
There's a so the soccer field's behind there, and then the football field's right there. But that's where they practice. That's not even like their normal. Like that's normally where they just hold practice.
What's this building that looks like a cruise ship on the left?
This one right here. They have classes in there. There's a whole bunch of athletic. There's a bunch of athletic facilities in there, but they have classes like what WKU has underneath their seating in their.
Oh, okay. I appreciate that you say what this one right here. Like I can see which one you're pointing at.
I'm sorry.
Like yeah, that one right there, the one you see, it's right there. Okay. So we've made our picks. I got to get rid of this here. Okay, go away.
Yeah.
Gotta love it, right?
I was leaning in, looking, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm way too close."
Okay. Well, we kind of whipped through those last couple of things. Tyler, did you end up coming up with a pick? You kept saying that you're not gaining.
He wanted. I think he wanted Larson.
Well, you can take Larson if you want it. I don't care who you take. Take whoever you want. Either that or I'm going to pick who you pick. And I think we're going to make you pick Austin Cindric. Okay, you are going to go Kyle Larson. Okay, I thought when you said that, I thought you were changing your mind, saying that you didn't want to go with that. Now that I just said Austin Cindric, though, he's probably going to win. That I just randomly said that name. Chase says that's all it was. Jones says that if he says no, throw everything at Hurley. Talk to 4 to 5 secondary candidates today, but Drew is the guy, and thus most likely we'd know about Drew tomorrow. Matt said it's 75% Drew, 15% Hurley.
You can say what you want to about Northwestern all you want to, but they made both the football bowl game and made it to the round of 32, and only like 4 other teams can say that. So you can say what you want. I watched
At least when Kentucky lost their game in the NCAA tournament, they only lost by a couple of points.
Yeah,
I mean,
you lost to a team that nobody even knows exists, okay? Don't even start with me.
Who the hell did you lose to? Team's not worth a damn.
They only won the championship.
Well, if you want to change and go to your solo pick, you can go to your solo pick.
Now who's triggered?
Do you have any parting wishes, thoughts, or anything else that you really want to talk about?
Let's see. So Masters are coming up.
You got to pick.
I have a rare off weekend this weekend. I have nothing going on. Racetrack is got some other event that's taking place there. UIS is on the road, and so I am hanging out, and I can't talk about it because I don't know if she's watching or not. But I'm hanging out with my daughter this weekend, and we are doing something awesome. So I will tell you all about what that awesome event is next Wednesday.
People are going to be so excited. Are you going to go to the movies?
No.
Wow.
Yeah.
You going to go see Taylor Swift perform?
If you paid me to go watch Taylor Swift, I wouldn't do it.
Really?
You can't.
Yeah, no, let me guess. You're I think he's talking about my team.
Oh.
Yeah. Pick for the Masters, Brooks Koepka. That's a good pick. I'm going to, in fact, I want to make sure I get his name right because I'm just going to throw this name out of nowhere. Because I was looking at him earlier and I forget his name now. Colin Morikawa. That's a person, isn't it?
That sounds right. Is Vijay Singh still playing golf?
He is.
Vijay won me like $40 one year because I picked him.
Yes. Colin Morikawa. That's my pick to win the Masters. So sorry, Colin. You're probably going to miss the cut now.
I'm being lazy and going with Rory.
Rory McIlroy?
Yeah.
In fact, here, I'm going to even put $1 on Morikawa to win. Let's see what his odds are right now. Because Scotty Scheffler's been playing really well.
He's got the best odds right now. Scotty has the best odds right now.
And he is, VJ. VJ's like 95 years old, I think.
I was going to say, because I picked him like 15 years ago. So, also, Fanatics jerseys keep on embarrassing themselves, and I just keep on laughing.
Oh, wow. Those Morikawa odds, I like that. Plus 5,000, $1. Sold. We'll do that. Scotty Scheffler plus 400 to win. McIlroy at plus 1,000. John Rahm at plus 1,100. Schauffele
Paul, you
at
ever have anything nice to say, bro?
No.
He's been very at me tonight.
I mean,
much more than normal.
I'm looking VJ's odds.
What are they? 1 in 10,000? Worse?
Plus 500,000. $1 will win you $5,000. I think you got to put $1 on it.
I might have to go put $1 on that.
Wow. I really just want to pick a rank. In fact, I'm going to do it here. I'm just going to scroll. Okay. I'm going to go to the top here, and we're going to put a guy to go in the top 10, and I'm just going to scroll, and you tell me when to stop, and then I'm going to randomly count however many are on my screen. So I'm going to start this. Okay, ready?
Okay.
And go.
Stop.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, give me a number between 1 and 11.
6.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh!
Is it VJ?
Sergio Garcia.
Oh!
So that's Leroy's pick to win.
Oh!
You know who was 11th?
Who? Tiger?
Oh! Tiger.
I thought about 11 for a second.
Tiger.
Just for you, Tyler.
The best. Would you is the Masters something that's on your do you have any interest in going to that? because I know you're not like you wouldn't necessarily call yourself a golf, like, you're not a fan, but you're not a fan, right?
Right. No, I wouldn't. I don't go out of my way to watch it. I'll keep up with and I'll watch maybe I'll watch if I'm not doing anything, I'll put it on and watch like a little bit of it, especially like the last day when it's getting down to the nitty gritty. But I would never But the thing is, I don't think I would ever actually pursuit to go. But if somebody was like, "Hey, I've got an extra ticket for the Masters, $100, you want to come with?" I'd definitely be like, absolutely.
That is one amazing friend if he's giving you
the
Masters ticket for $100, but still, I would love to. Paul, have you ever been? I mean, I know you live in Georgia. It's every year I put in, he's been once. I would. It's just because, I mean, the biggest thing with the Masters too is no cell phones allowed. So like you walk in there and everyone is there to be in nature and so on. But the best part about that is you go in and the concession prices.
They're cheap, man. Like they were back in 1930.
Yeah. I mean, it's what, like $2 beers or $4 beers or something like that. And egg salads, but it's hilarious because it's not hamburgers and hot dog. Egg salad sandwich, pimento cheese, and so on. It's just great. I would love to go.
I was cleaning my desk, and you and Paul will both appreciate this. I found a list of home run teams when we were doing the home run competition of picking games.
Was your scribble where you would edit? Where you would edit?
What did I write? I'll tell you what I wrote down.
No, if that's where you would edit your winners, so it
looks like I won.
Yeah, because Warda, right? Wasn't that his name?
Warda did that.
Tyler,
absolutely.
I'm gonna pull up here I'm pulling a picture right now. I hope my computer's to where I can show you, if you're not a fan of golf, to show you the concession stand of the Masters, because it's legitimately like dirt cheap. Like an egg salad sandwich here is $1.
Yeah, you guys see these prices. It's insane. The prices are like really, really cheap.
I'm hoping this will work here.
You find it?
I did. I'm trying to pull it up here on seeing if my computer will allow it, because it never really wants to work. But oh, come on. Oh, of course it's doing it this way. I'm gonna have to do it a backup way. It is. It's that Paul, what year did you go to? I'm intrigued of how of who won the year you went. I don't even know if when I go to the other tab, my computer's so old, if you can even hear me or if it just lags.
It lags pretty brutal.
Yeah. 2016. Okay. Well, if you want to talk while I pull this, then go for it.
All right, so let's talk about some stuff. What do we got? What do we got going on? The Cardinals lost again today. Lost to the Phillies. Cardinals are 6-7, and it's funny because I'm in an NL Central Smack Talk group, and the Cardinals fans they're like White Sox fans. They've absolutely given up, and there's been a lot of teams that, despite being 2 weeks into the season, have already really given up. There's a video of Mets broadcasters where they're just nobody in the stands, down by 4. It's the 4th inning. This sucks. They were just absolutely. And Paul, I know you're all about the Mets absolutely being awful, but it's just funny hearing some of the broadcasters who have absolutely just given up on their teams already this early in the season. But when you look at the MLB standings, I mean, there's already some really, really surprising things in there. I told you that KC team was going to be good this year. Kansas City sitting at 8-4. New York Yankees are surprising at 10-3. But that whole American League East is going to be an absolute shoot Yankees, Orioles, Red Sox are have an actual winning record, and the Rays are really good as well. Taking a look at the National League East, the Atlanta Braves already 2 games up on the Phillies. Pirates 9-3. I said at the beginning of the season that if they could stay healthy, that they're going to be a dangerous team. 9-3 in first place by half game on the Brewers. Dodgers 10-5. Cubs took 2 out of 3 from them. Padres snuck a game 1 win. Worst loss by the Cubs since 2008 when they blew a 8-game lead against the Marlins. How awesome is that? But yeah, Cubs hadn't blown an 8-run lead in forever.
Here you go.
So
here's your Masters menu.
That's the Masters menu, Tyler.
Of what you can get. So you see here, so what a beer is $5. I mean, that's dirt cheap. You know, I mean, because what's a beer at a baseball game? 10?
Easily. Probably even a little bit higher.
And I just find it funny too. No hot dog. You like no hot dogs.
I want that Masters Club so bad.
It is. See, I'd probably get. I'm not a huge like pimento cheese guy.
Yeah,
but I feel like you'd have to do it.
That Georgia peach ice cream sandwich, man.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes.
So yeah, that's what you pay a ton to get in, but like the Masters food's the same price as what it's been since the thing started.
Yeah, it is. It's unbelievable when they go to it, but then they get you to in. They got all of the stands to buy stuff. You know, the
right
souvenir stands and so on, and that's where they get you. That's where they get you. All right. So, and in fact, is that exactly what Paul said? Yeah, in the pro shop. Exactly.
Were you able to hear me at all as far as surprises at the start of this season in Major League Baseball?
Yeah, I can hear you. You just can't hear me because my computer is old, and when it has to do more than one thing, it decides it doesn't want to work anymore, which I respect because if I'm being honest, I'm old too, and when I have to do more than I want to, I also want to quit.
The Pirates, Brewers, and Cubs have all won 7 out of their last 10 games. Dodgers and Braves have also won 7 out of their last 10 games. So have the Guardians and the Yankees. So right now, out of those teams, obviously Braves are probably best set up for success, but like Dodgers, I don't know, man. Have they overstacked themselves? I don't know. I'm legit intrigued by this start, and I know it's still really, really early, but like few little bit of surprises here on this stuff. $10,000 in the pro shop. That's insane.
Oh yeah, because people would buy it.
Also, White Sox scored 7 runs the other day, which matched their total for the first like 8 games that they played.
I know you're going to be a big Reds fan though this weekend because the Reds will be on the South Side.
That's right. Go Reds. You know, listen, who are you telling?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm blown away here over all my Kentucky stuff here. I'm getting a little bit.
Well, we'll let you go because you're not even talking to us anymore. You're all knee deep in KSR and Twitter. So
listen,
we've lost our Oakland Athletics friend over here.
It's interesting. I said I was going to wear it last week, and I've come through, and I've worn it, and now it'll go back on my shelf, probably never to be worn again. Next week, I don't know what next week, because next week's the week in between where we are right now and the draft.
Yeah.
So who knows what could come up in the next week on everything. Oh, of course I have Twitter. I love Twitter. I'm
typical A's fan.
I'm not entirely certain as to. If I'm being honest, I'm not even sure I can name one A. Is Jeremy Giambi still on the team?
That's like Paul asking about Kyle Petty, man.
Isn't Jeremy Giambi's dead, isn't he?
Yes.
I was going to say. Scott Hatteberg? Is he still on the team? Mark Mulder?
Paul, you don't count.
I'm trying to think. Ricky Henderson? Is he still there? Dennis Eckersley?
All right. You ready for this? Here you go. Here you go. I got you. Abraham Toro,
I've never heard
Zach Galoff, J.D. Davis,
of him. I've heard of him.
Shea Langoliers. Ooh, Tyler Nevin.
Yeah, right on cue. I know him.
J.J. Blade, Nick Allen.
Oh, J.J. Blade, he's a Kentucky guy. He went to UK.
Daryl Hernandez and Lawrence Butler. They're pitching Ross Stripling, Alex Wood, Joe Boyle, Paul Blackburn.
Did you just say Reds legend Alex Wood?
I did say Reds legend Alex Wood, Osvaldo Bido, and Joey Estes.
Reds legend Alex Wood.
Reds legend Alex Wood, who is projected to go 6-9 with a 4.50 ERA for them this season.
Yeah, I forgot about Ruiz, that they did option him to AAA.
Well,
it's funny that their roster is...
Because Ruiz wore the bracelet that was in support of them moving.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, you're gone. Everyone that wore the bracelet...
Get on out of here. Look forward to next week. We'll talk what the next week's show. And then 2 weeks from today, we'll celebrate our 1 year.
And we're going to talk about UK's new coach and how bad he's going to be for Kentucky. That's what we're going to talk about next week.
Says the Northwestern fan.
Again, got farther than you did.
Okay.
Show me the lie.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
You've been alive for like one of those.
2. Two. How many have you been alive for Northwestern? How many tournament wins?
3.
Tournament wins? 3?
3.
How funny is that that you've been alive for one more tournament win than I have Kentucky national championships in my lifetime?
No. We've had more than 3 because let's see. No, well, okay, no, yeah, because they beat Vanderbilt.
Mm-hmm.
They beat Boise State. They beat Florida Atlantic. Yeah, 3. Yeah.
Who did they lose to that had the famous? And I know isn't the kid is like the crying Northwestern kid that's the meme.
Yes, we lost to Gonzaga.
Was that who it was?
We lost off a missed goaltending call that Collins threw a hissy fit and ended up getting a technical, and that's what really cinched the game for Gonzaga.
That kid, though, is like, isn't he somebody's son?
He's Jim Phillips, who's the AD, or not the AD, he's the president of the ACC. He's the president of the ACC. That's his son, who is now in college now because we're all old.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Paul, not even that.
Y'all are too focused on a team that was like the scraps of everybody else, man. Y'all don't understand. Like, Sam's the only one that understands. Like Calipari would not have been able to get that team to win a game.
Oh, because he can't coach. Snake oil salesman. Have a good night. Perfect timing to end.
Thanks,
we'll
guys.
See you next week.
Hanging out with us this evening.